Hey guys, I hope you're doing good. Christmas is almost here. It's halfway through December right now, and in Edinburgh we've got the Christmas market up. The nights are drawing in, and the days are shortening. I think it gets dark about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it gets light about 9 o'clock in the morning. And so, yeah, we know it's coming up to Christmas now, and we're trying to figure out what do we buy people for gifts, all that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I want to share with you guys today about finding hope when it's dark at Christmas. Because, with all the stress, the changes in the routine at Christmas, we see family, we travel. I think it's fair to say that it can be an emotional time, Christmas. And so sometimes when we slow down, all the hard stuff in our lives, things that we've maybe not thought about for a while, they catch up on us, maybe from this year or maybe from previous years as well. And so I think it's really important to think about hope at Christmas. I've been reading the Christmas story in Matthew's Gospel in the Bible. It's been amazing. And I was totally blown away because I saw something that I hadn't really ever seen before. And as you go through the Christmas story, you find that mourning and grieving are part of the Christmas narrative. So let me give you the context for that. So, see, Jesus has been born in Bethlehem. The shepherds, they've come and they've visited him. And there's a group of the wise men from the east, and they have noticed that the star has come up, signifying that there's a new king, an important king, a significant king. And so they head off towards where Jesus has been born, and they end up in Jerusalem at the palace of Herod. And I can imagine, if you're thinking about where is a new king going to be born, the palace sounds like a really good shout. And so they head off to the palace, they chat with Herod, and he gets his advisors around him, and he's not particularly happy. As you can imagine, he was a bit of a power-hungry king. And so he asked the wise men, come back to me, let me know where this new king is found. And then, through God's direction, the wise men, they find Jesus, but then they worship him, they bring the gifts, the gold, frankincense and myrrh, but then they head off in a different direction home as well, so they don't go back to Herod. And so let me read to you a couple of verses from Matthew's Gospel, Matthew chapter 2, about Herod's reaction to this. Let me read it to you. When Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinity, who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time he had learned from the Magi. Then what was said through the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping and great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. That's Matthew chapter 2, verses 16 to 18. This is a serious account. And so this wasn't really out of character for Herod. He was a brute, a tyrannical king, and we see from history he was a bit of a monster. So a couple of things: that he assassinated some of the Sanhedrin, the ruling supreme court of the Jewish people. He had 300 of his own court officials murdered. He murdered his wife Mariam and her mother, and 3 of his own sons. And then even when he was dying, on his deathbed, as he was ill, as he was about to go, he ordered the execution and assassination of notable leaders all across Jerusalem, so that they would be killed at the same time that his death was announced as well. And so for us, it's shocking to read this account of these babies in Bethlehem being killed and the surrounding area. And I can't ever remember, growing up, going to a nativity place, being part of a nativity place, ever really seeing this happen. It was all about the tea towels around the shepherd's head. It was about the wise men bringing the little gifts of little wrapped up boxes of gold, and who's going to be Mary and Joseph, and kids trying to remember their lines. And so it's not necessarily been part of the traditional nativity, but we see that in the Bible it is part of the Christmas story. And there are different seasons in life where weeping and grieving are absolutely necessary. It's totally appropriate. And for many people around the UK, around the world, in different situations, Christmas is not always the most wonderful time of the year as we'd maybe like to think it is. So some people are having a tough time as we come up to Christmas. So let me share 3 maybe principles with us to have hope at Christmas, and then some applications as well. So the first one is this: it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to acknowledge sorrow and grief when it happens. You see, these are real pain points and real sources of sorrow for us. And we see that in Bethlehem. There's the weeping and the grieving. And we see that in our own lives. There are times when we experience real pain, real sorrow. And it is okay not to be okay. And actually that's normal, that's healthy. Zach Eswine has written a book called Spurgeon's Sorrows, based on Charles Spurgeon, the great preacher, who suffered with depression. He wrote this in this book. In this fallen world, sadness is an act of sanity. Our tears, the testimony of the sane. And so actually sadness is an appropriate response to some things that happen in our world. And how often do we go through life when things happen and they really shouldn't have happened? Why is there depression? Why is there cancer? Why do I face injustices at work, in life? Why are there tensions in family or relationships? These things hurt us. These things we struggle with. These are battles on the inside. And God understands the depth of our pain. He does. And he acknowledges it when pain hits. He's not ignorant to these things. He acknowledges it, but he acknowledges our pain, when it feels like our hope evaporates. But he wants us to know that even in these times, that hope is not all lost. See, that's the very purpose of Christmas. That's the Christmas message, that actually the hope is not lost, because Jesus came. He was born, he lived his life, he died and was raised to life again, so that we could have hope and bring restoration to humanity. So that's principle number one. It's okay not to be okay. And number two, find your comfort in God. Find your comfort in God. Zach Eswine in this book, Spurgeon's Sorrows, also said, our hope is not the absence of regret or misery or doubt or lament, but the very presence of Jesus. It's not the absence of the hard stuff, it's actually the presence of Jesus that gives us hope. That's what we need. We need the presence of Jesus. We need to be real, we need to be authentic about life, about hurts, and we also need to be real about our hope in Jesus Christ. There is real comfort to be found, real comfort to be experienced, real joy, real peace. And it requires us to trust and lean into God. And so as we go through the good, the bad, the ugly, Jesus invites us to come to him with our pain and our comfort. And we find our comfort in him. And so, I think that as human beings, is that we experience pain. I think we're designed to experience and process pain, but what we're not designed to do is to carry pain. And when we carry our grief and we don't process it, we don't deal with it well, it is a burden. It is heavy. It weighs us down. It leads to all sorts of problems in our life. And so this Christmas, or whenever you're watching this, in life, this is a good principle. Actually, you can come and bring your burdens, your heaviness to Jesus. And he invites us to do that. In Matthew chapter 11, verse 28-29, a famous verse, Jesus says, it's an invitation, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. Isn't that what we need? End of 2019, going into 2020, we need rest for our souls. And so we can find our comfort in God. And thirdly, firstly, it's okay not to be okay. Secondly, find our comfort in God. And thirdly, carry a perspective of hope with us. And so over the last 12 years or so, I've been open about it. I've struggled with depression, mental health, and maybe you've experienced that, and you know as well as I do, or maybe more so, that there are times when you do not feel like having hope. It doesn't feel like there is hope. There doesn't feel like there's a way forward. It feels dark. It feels dark on the inside. It feels dark in how you see things. And so what I've learned through that, and maybe we'll talk about that at another time a bit more in detail, is that I've learned to trust God's word over how I feel about a situation or how I'm feeling at the time. And that is so important to trust. That's faith. It's not just being about what you feel, but actually what is true. What are you putting your trust in? And so as I've done that, I found that actually I've been able to develop and carry a perspective of hope for the future. Not based on my feelings, because if it was, that would just be totally screwed up. But actually it's based on God's word, over my feelings. And so I found that actually, as I've done that, I found hope. I found actually being able to keep on going in that. And I actually believe that the best is ahead. And that's based on the Bible. That's based on God's words to us. Because, at the end of the Bible, it says that there is a day that's determined when God says enough death, enough mourning, enough pain. He will wipe away every tear. And there's no more sickness. There's no more depression. There's none of these things. There's going to be a day of restoration, a day of wholeness, of healing. And so, you know what? I cannot wait for that day. It's going to be amazing. So, our 3 principles to have hope in the dark at Christmas is it's okay not to be okay. Find our comfort in God. And thirdly, to carry a perspective of hope with us. And so let me give you a couple of practical things. Number 1, think of others this December, because we go through hard stuff, or maybe we're just really excited about Christmas, and that that's awesome, that's amazing. But there are definitely going to be people around you this December that are not looking forward to Christmas. There's going to be people that have maybe even this year lost someone that they were close to, a family member, a friend. Or they've gone through some sort of life-changing experience where actually, Christmas is different. It's a hard time, as they slow down and reflect on the year as well. So, let's be understanding of each other this December, in the busyness, in the excitement, the highs, and remember that for some people they'll be experiencing those as well. Let's look out for each other. Let's encourage one another. And secondly, if you're a Christian, then spend time with God is so important, and so take time this Christmas to spend time with God. We at Christmas time we plan, we spend time with family, we plan to spend time with friends, catching up. But how about this Christmas, deciding to and planning to spend time with God? What will your time with God look like this Christmas? And thirdly, finally, reflect on this past year. Maybe you have been going through something. Give yourself permission to come before God, spend time with Him, and grieve, mourn over that, and invite Him to keep working in you and to provide comfort, provide the healing where you need it. And I believe that will also give you hope for 2020 and beyond. See, I do believe that the best is ahead when we fix our eyes on King Jesus, the King that was born at Christmas, and that's why we're celebrating. Guys, thank you so much for watching, taking this time. Leave a comment. I'd love to hear, what are you excited about for Christmas? What are you going to be finding difficult in this season? And so, love to hear from you. Guys, love you. See you soon.